Hi everyone, I am Sandra Wortham and this is my YouTube channel. Here at this channel, we talk about public safety and ways that we as regular people can advocate for ourselves to ensure that we are living in communities that are as safe as humanly possible. To do that, we're focusing specifically on ways that we can advocate for both law, policy, just social norms that support public safety and that oppose and deter and hold accountable violent offenders um, and violent crime. So that's what we do here. If this is your first time at the channel, welcome. Thank you for watching. I hope you will come back. I hope you will subscribe and join us in the sharing of ideas and conversation to keep us all safe. Today, we are talking about prosecutors. This is a video that is a continuation of a previously posted video titled The Players. When I say the players, I'm talking about four of the major institutional entities that play a role in the public safety ecosystem. So, prosecutors, law enforcement, judges, and legislators. There'll be a separate short breakout video for each of those four, and today is all about the prosecutors. So, prosecutors are the lawyers who litigate, who pursue, who work on cases brought on behalf of a government, be that state, municipal, or federal, on behalf of the people of the state or the people of the city. And so, because we focus on violent crime here, because I feel like that is really what's tearing our communities apart, we'll talk a lot about state prosecutors. So, I am a Chicagoan. I live in the city of Chicago, in the county of Cook, in the state of Illinois. So, the state of Illinois is divided into 102 counties, and so Cook County has the Cook County State's Attorney. Now, keep in mind, throughout the whole channel, throughout multiple videos, some of the language will sound different depending on where you live, but it will generally be applicable, just maybe a different word. So while we call our prosecutors here in Illinois state's attorneys, as we all know from television, in some jurisdictions they might be called district attorneys, though they're still state prosecutors. They just have a different name. So you just need to figure out what they're called in your jurisdiction. But here, it's the Cook County State's Attorney. So that's the top job, prosecuting state law on behalf of the residents of Cook County. Now, our state's attorney is an elected position. In a previous video, I talked about the importance of us understanding the difference between elected and appointed positions. Both very, very important. We just need to know how they get there so we know how to exercise our voice and our power if we're unhappy or if we're happy, with what they're doing. So obviously a person who's elected, we vote for that person. Now, why is this important? This is important because prosecutors hold both an enormous responsibility and an enormous amount of power as it relates to the adjudication of cases brought related to violent offenses. So again, we're talking about murder, shootings, rape, robbery, person to person violence, the things that really just tear our souls apart in our communities. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So you'll hear it referred to often as prosecutorial discretion. What it really means is, though there's obviously law, right? There's a law that says what happens when there's a murder or when there's a robbery or this or that. Prosecutors have the authority to decide which cases to pursue and which to not pursue. And it's a subjective decision. So, what does that mean? It means a law enforcement entity could bring to the prosecutor's office a set of facts and say, we believe this is the offender in this case. Prosecutor A could say, I don't think you have enough there. We're not going to proceed with charging that case. That law enforcement agency could bring the exact same set of facts to prosecutor B, and prosecutor B could say, let's go, we got it. And that's a subjective determination. So that's on us then to really do the due diligence when we are preparing to vote for people. And then after a person is voted in, to watch what they do to determine if we're happy or not. Does your locally elected prosecutor have a philosophy that aligns with how you believe violent crime should be treated? That's a very important question for all of us to answer. If the answer is yes, then keep voting that person in. If the answer is no, you probably want to be looking for another candidate. Why? Because the top person's philosophy on crime is going to trickle down to the attorneys who work in that office, and it's going to be exhibited throughout the locale, throughout the jurisdiction, as it relates to how crimes are treated. And that is very important. We'll talk about specific examples as we go on with this channel, but that's really the bare bones here, is just to know you need to know who your prosecutor is. You need to know what his or her philosophy on crime is. What do they think about crime? What do they believe about the prosecution of certain offenses? And then you determine whether or not that's how you want to live. Briefly, we also have municipal prosecutors. So in the city of Chicago, we have prosecutors who deal largely with civil offenses as it relates to the municipal code of Chicago. You might have a little bit of overlap sometimes as it relates to like vehicle impoundments when there are drugs or perhaps guns in the vehicle, but largely municipal prosecutors deal with civil things. We also, of course, in the United States of America have United States attorneys. Those are our federal prosecutors. Unlike the local state's attorney, the United States attorney, the top job in that office is an appointed position. That position is appointed by the president of the United States and then confirmed by the Senate. Does that mean we're powerless? No, it does not. Why? Because actually, we obviously elect our presidents. So if we're looking at United States attorneys and thereby, and therefore their offices, they have lawyers who work in their offices called assistant United States attorneys, and we don't like the way they're operating, then that's something that we could hold our president accountable for. But the important distinction there is that United States attorneys are appointed. Now, you'll hear a lot about United States attorneys' offices working on like white collar crime, a lot of financially related crime, but that doesn't mean they have no role in violent crime. America's divided into 90, I believe it's, what is it? What do I have? 94 districts. And for those 94 districts, there are 93 appointed United States attorneys. Chicago sits in the Northern District of Illinois. Our district United States Attorney's Office has, in recent history, taken an increasingly proactive role in prosecuting violent crime and tying, federal statutes, federal law to violent crime to try and play a role in fighting against really the insanity we're seeing as it relates to violent crime, not only in Chicago, but certainly in Chicago and then across the country. And so that's prosecutors. Very important. We need to be engaged, we need to be knowledgeable, and we need to exercise our voice as it relates to how we want to see crime treated in our courts. So thank you. Next video up will be about law enforcement. I hope you will tune back in. Thanks, everyone.